No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for June the 13th, 2022. There is also some breaking news to discuss regarding Jeff Hardy. I will be talking about Jeff Hardy at the very end of the stream after I finish talking about Raw. Let's get into Raw. We do have Money in the Bank coming up in just a few weeks. Raw kicked off with The Miz hosting an edition of Miz TV. His special guest, Paul Heyman, who did his own introduction, and the crowd chanted, "You suck" at The Miz. The Miz said he cannot suck because he's not from Kansas. Miz talked about Money in the Bank, 100% cash-in success for him. Of course, he cashed in 2 times, won the title both times. He said that the winner of Money in the Bank will most likely cash in on Roman Reigns. And then Heyman said that whoever tries to cash in on Roman Reigns will fail. Heyman then brought up Riddle. Riddle, pretty much on cue, showed up. By the way, Riddle has new music. Same beat as the old music, but a different melody. And I'm just going to go out and say it. It sucks. It is generic as hell. Def Rebel needs to go. Not a fan whatsoever. We had Riddle basically saying that Reigns, Heyman, Bloodline, they do not know what he's capable of, and Reigns will have to kill him to to retain the undisputed Universal Championship. Heyman said that when Riddle loses, Riddle will never get another championship match for the unified world title as long as Reigns remains champion. We then had the Usos coming down to the ring. Street Profits arrived, and that led to our opening matchup, Montez Ford versus Jimmy Uso. Jimmy quickly retreated to the outside of the ring, and then Jimmy got the upper hand when he suplexed Ford on the apron. He worked over Ford for a while. Ford started to make a comeback, but then Jimmy hit the Samoan drop. Ford kicked out of that, and then Jimmy tried another suplex, but Ford was able to avoid that. Ford went up to the top for a frog splash. However, Jimmy got his knees up, and then Jimmy got on top, scored the 1-2-3 victory. Usos building up momentum for whenever there's a tag team match with the Street Profits. I presume it will be at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Match was fine, just kind of felt like filler to me. Opening segment was basically promoting SmackDown and maybe a little bit of Money in the Bank. Speaking of Money in the Bank, a potential contender for Money in the Bank, Seth freaking Rollins, or Seth Franklin Rollins. He was in a sit-down interview to talk about his attack on Cody Rhodes from last week, and Rollins basically called Cody a virus who was plaguing WWE. Rollins did not feel any remorse for getting rid of Cody. Rollins was holding the sledgehammer, by the way. He said he took pride in what he did, and he might have to do the same thing to his opponent on Raw, AJ Styles. All of a sudden, AJ Styles came in, attacked him, and said that that punch was for Cody. We had a match later on, which I'll talk about in just a few moments here. Moving on, we had a 24/7 title match Dana Brooke versus Becky Lynch. But there wasn't actually a match. Becky Lynch took a cheap shot before the bell, beat the crap out of her. And then afterwards, Becky got on the mic, said Dana Brooke can keep that 24/7 title, basically because it's crap, but she did not outright say that. Talked about Money in the Bank. Asuka arrived. There was a brawl between Becky and Asuka. Asuka got the upper hand. Becky retreated. Next week, it's Asuka versus Becky Lynch, qualifying match for Money in the Bank. Basically, Becky Lynch got her heat back. Didn't get the win because, well, Becky, it would be a downgrade to win the 24/7 title, so she just beat up Dana, and I guess that's the end of it. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, I wanted Becky to win that title and smash it. As did I. Becky should have just won it, destroyed it, and put an end to the 24/7 title division. But we all know that ain't going to happen. Which will live longer, the 24/7 title or Impact Wrestling? Like, both of them could be around for decades to come. You just can't kill them. Moving on here, we had a Money in the Bank qualifying match. Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss versus Doudrop and Nikki Ash. Very generic, standard match. Alexa Bliss pinned Nikki with the DDT. Not much to say about it. Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss qualify for Money in the Bank. There you go. Then we had Ezekiel versus Kevin Owens. Pretty decent match here, not too shabby. Owens tried to finish him off early, hit the cannonball, hit the swanton, but there was a kick out. They went to the outside of the ring. Zeke hit a pretty brutal fireman's carry to Owens onto the steel steps. Like, that can never be a pleasant bump on those steel steps, especially when it looks like Owens is back connected with the edge of the steps. During the break, though, Owens did get control. He had a splash off the apron to the outside of the ring. And then Owens went for the stunner, but Zeke avoided it, hit a knee to the chin, and Owens escaped to the outside. They were both on the outside. Ezekiel got back in the ring, and I guess Owens heard the commentary people talking about Ezekiel, and he got mad all of a sudden, and he got counted out. I thought this was pretty lame. Like, they should have done the guitar strum or something with Elias. Like, just this count out was really lame in my opinion. Anyways, afterwards, Ezekiel said he's not done with Kevin Owens. He wants in Money in the Bank, though, and he had other news. I guess he has been in contact with his brother, Elias. And next week, Elias is apparently going to be making his return to Monday Night Raw. And I guess there will be a concert. They showed a graphic later in the show. Elias will be back for a concert, which is fine. You know, I wanted to see Elias show back up, but they should have done the guitar strum or had Elias appear on the screen or something other than the lame-ass count out with Owens listening to the commentary or whatever. It was dumb. But I am curious about Elias. So they got me hooked for one more week, but depending on what they do next week, I may or may not lose interest in this storyline. I feel like it's on the verge of running its course, and like they got to do something creative next week to keep me invested. We had Cedric the Entertainer up against MVP, and before the match, MVP cut a promo, said Cedric Alexander has gotten on his last nerve, talked about Money in the Bank. Cedric then finally arrived for the match. MVP turned his back, and Cedric took advantage. You had Omos acting like he was going to get into the ring, and that distracted the stupid babyface Cedric. MVP took control, picked up the win with the playmaker. not much to this one either. Omos tossed out Cedric afterwards, and I guess Omos is going to be in the Money in the Bank. I don't know. I don't care. Just kind of time filler for me. And then next up, we had Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles, which was the best match on the show, in my opinion. Still not like an all-time classic by any means. It was a very good match. I felt like this was kind of a flat crowd. They did chant "This is awesome" at one point, but it felt like one of those very faint "This is awesome" chants where it's like maybe 100 people chanting it. Just didn't feel like a very hot crowd this week. But anyways, before the match, both guys cut backstage promos, and Styles was very fired up, trying to go for the early win. He hit a forearm over the top to the outside, and then Rollins took control. He got in the ring, did his dive to the outside. Styles went over the announce table, and Rollins worked him over for a while, but then Styles got on the calf crusher. Rollins got to the rope. Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, but Rollins avoided that, hit a chop block. Styles was selling his knee, and Rollins hit the buckle bomb, went for the frog splash, but he missed it. Styles went for the Styles clash, but Rollins countered with a sunset flip and got the 1-2-3 victory. Seth Rollins advances to Money in the Bank, and how do you even book this match? Like, shouldn't AJ Styles be in Money in the Bank? Like, he seems like an obvious candidate. Maybe he still gets in it. He could very well win a second chance or a last chance match, whatever they like to do. Best thing on the show, though. So if you're going to watch anything from Raw, check out this match. So anyways, moving on here. Riddle versus Ciampa. No entrance for Ciampa whatsoever. Have they just completely given up on this guy or what? I mean, he's got nothing going for him. He comes out there, randomly attacks people, and then he gets no entrance for his Raw TV match. Miz was on commentary. Ciampa did get in some offense, but then Riddle did all the Randy Orton moves. Ciampa avoided the RKO, though, and started grabbing Riddle's toes, which, hey, why not? I'm surprised people haven't been doing that sooner. However, Riddle was able to overcome that. Riddle hit a floating bro, and it looked like he landed pretty awkwardly on Ciampa. Hopefully, Ciampa did not get hurt. And then Riddle hit the RKO, scored the 1-2-3 victory. Sucks to be Ciampa, but Riddle does pick up some momentum heading into Friday SmackDown, where he will lose, spoiler alert, to the Tribal Chief. Next up, we had Bianca Belair for an in-ring promo, and she talked about how her and Rhea Ripley have been the forefront of the new generation of women in WWE. She did have respect for Rhea Ripley. However, Rhea has become soulless since joining the Judgment Day, and pretty much right on cue, Judgment Day appeared on the Titantron, cut their little promo, not in the ring, but backstage in some dark room. Kind of felt like retribution, probably the direction they're going. Not a good thing. You had Balor talking about how they're done playing nice and taking orders, and that's why they removed Edge from the group. And Priest said that they're all equals now. Rhea Ripley talked about how her teeth were knocked loose last week, and she loved every moment of it, and she's going to win the title, yada, yada, yada. They still had the Alter Bridge music for now. We'll see how long that lasts before Death Rebel gets their hands on Judgment Day, and then it's really downhill. We had Austin Theory backstage with a promo hyping up the main event segment of Raw, a pose down with Bobby Lashley. And he even did a little John Cena tease, said that it will make his 20-year anniversary, 20 years from now, will make John Cena's 20-year celebration look like nothing. We then had Mustafa Ali versus Chad Gable. Pretty decent match here, but not really sure what's going on with either guy, what direction they're heading in. Ali got sent into the post, and Gable put a submission on, but Ali escaped. Gable went for the moonsault, but Ali moved. Ali hit a tornado DDT. Otis tried to pull Gable out of the ring. Stupid babyface Ali got distracted. Gable took advantage, picked up the win. They're a tag team, not sure where they're going, but clearly Ali's got no direction, and he'll probably be back on main event next week. And then we had our main event. Well, actually, no, we're not even at the main event yet. We had Rey Mysterio versus Veer Mahan. Veer basically dominated the match. Dominik Mysterio was out there. Rey had a little bit of a comeback, and then Veer charged him, and Rey moved out of the way. Veer went into the post to the outside. Dominik was out there. Veer got really angry, and Veer beat up Rey Mysterio, clotheslined him over the barricade, got back in the ring, finished off Mysterio with the cervical clutch. I'm ready for something new here. I'm tired of Veer. Mysterios have no direction. Just another soulless match, which didn't really have me caring one way or another the outcome. Then we had the main event segment, the pose down between Lashley and Theory. Adam Pearce was the moderator or host, whatever, and explained that they would each have 3 poses. And Theory called out Pearce for botching the intro. Theory went first, did his 3, and then did some additional poses. So basically he was cheating. Lashley did his poses. They did the usual spiel where they asked the fans. Theory asked the fans. They booed him. Pearce declared Lashley the winner. No surprise here. And Theory then said that there was going to be one more pose. And then he took the baby oil, squirted Lashley in the face with the baby oil, and then beat him up a little bit. Then took the selfie, and that was the end of Raw. Show was pretty lackluster. As you could tell by my recap here, I'm not very enthusiastic about it. It was a bland show. Wrestling wasn't bad or anything. I just found myself not really caring about anything that happened on this show. The wrestling was good, but uninspired in my opinion. A lot of filler. One of those Raws where you could skip the entire thing, really, and you're not going to miss much. You're really not. So I'm giving it a C-. Weakest Raw in a while. A little bit of build up for Money in the Bank, but at this point, I really do not care. No Cody Rhodes, definitely his absence was felt this week. I mean, he was really carrying the show, in my opinion. So without him, Raw just feels lifeless, in my opinion. No world title, no Cody. You have a pose down ending the show. I mean, that should really tell you all you need to know about what they got going on. And the one storyline I've been interested in, Elias and Ezekiel and Kevin Owens, they got to do something. Next week, I think it's make or break for this storyline. Like, we'll see what they do. But if they drop the ball next week, I feel like the ship will have sailed as far as my interest level goes. And as Uthman says, Vince likes men posing. All right, so that was Raw. Let's talk about Jeff Hardy. Some sad news today. Jeff Hardy arrested yet again. Another DUI. He's had a history of arrests. We were all hoping that maybe he was in a better place. He got cut from WWE several months ago, and apparently he had passed the tests that they had given him, but he was still released, and the report was that WWE wanted him to go to rehab, and he refused. And he was released. He went on the podcasts, said he's fine. AEW signed him, so clearly Tony Khan believed he was fine, and he's not fine. His blood alcohol level was almost 4 times the legal limit, according to police. That's really bad. He could have killed somebody, could have killed himself. Bottom line, in my opinion, Jeff Hardy should not be wrestling anymore. This should be the end of his career. Does not look like he is going to be on Dynamite. He should not be on Dynamite. And he should be done with AEW. They should not use him again. They gave him a shot. He blew it. Bottom line. I do not fault Tony Khan for giving him a chance, but that's it. I mean, Jeff Hardy has had so many chances. You cannot enable the guy anymore. This should be the end of his wrestling career. We all love everything he's accomplished, but he is just at that point where one mistake could ruin his entire legacy. And his legacy is already damaged. He needs to step away from wrestling. He needs to get his life together, do the rehab, and not put himself in an environment that he cannot handle. Clearly, he cannot handle being on the road and doing wrestling. Like, people have been talking about his Dynamite performances. He's felt sluggish, not quite the classic Jeff Hardy that we all knew and loved. It's time for him to step away and focus on his own personal life before something tragic happens. DJW with a $10 super chat says, "What's up, Aaron and No DQ Galaxy?" Answer at the end. I really have nothing else to say about Jeff Hardy, so I'm going to go ahead and answer the super chat now. By the way, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest regarding the Jeff Hardy story. Do you think Cody got hurt because in AEW he only worked once every 3 or 4 weeks, but in WWE he's working every Monday, including house shows? I do not know what is going on with Cody Rhodes in his personal life and his workouts and the physical toll, but I mean, certainly the extra amount of work can cause an increased risk of something happening. He apparently got hurt working out, and that's how he tore his pec. But yeah, when you're going in there, your first WWE pay-per-view main event, you're going hard, like, yeah, that could certainly increase the chances of injury. There's no doubt about that. You're putting more wear and tear on your body. It's just an unfortunate situation with Cody, because that type of injury could theoretically happen anytime. You're working out and you can get hurt. Anybody could get hurt anytime doing those workouts. But again, I wasn't there. None of us were there. We don't know what was going on with him. But yeah, it just sucks. The timing of it was not good in the sense that Cody has been red hot. The good news is when he returns, he's going to be right back in there. And as I said in previous videos, Cody is a made guy. Vince will push him to the top when he comes back. He's got his spot. His spot is secure. I firmly believe he will be WWE champion one day once he does return. And they're saying 9 months. I think that's a work. These injuries, Cena came back, 4 months, 5 months? Triple H came back 5 months. Cody's going to be back by the Royal Rumble. I think the 9 months is to try to throw people off. It's a work. I think the 9 months is a work. Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Building Nexus. He says, if Cody is going to win the title, it should be off Roman Reigns at WrestleMania with no cash-ins. I will say this. If The Rock is unavailable for WrestleMania, that is 100% your main event. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Now, if The Rock is doing the match with Roman Reigns, get the title off Reigns before then. Drew McIntyre could win the title, and maybe Seth Rollins cashes in on Drew McIntyre. Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble. Bam. WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes versus Seth freaking Rollins. One more time, only this time it's for the WWE title. Oofman Entertainment sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Oof. I appreciate it. Says, even before he started drinking, Jeff was driving with a suspended license. That already is asking for trouble. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that Jeff was not taking care of himself. And he should not have been driving in the first place. Like, there's no excuse. I agree with Bill DeMott. There is no excuse. Jeff Hardy is a wealthy man. And really, it doesn't matter what amount of wealth you have. Call an Uber. Have transportation ready to go. If you're going out drinking, have that transportation available. There's just no excuse. Let's see. Axel sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Axel. I appreciate it. It says, do you think that Cody purposely made sure his pec was completely torn so he could compete without sidelining him with a partial tear? There is that story that because the pec was completely torn and there was no risk of further injury to the pec, that he was allowed to wrestle. I don't think that was the case. I mean, I'm not going to even speculate on that, but I don't think so. And it's still a risk going out there, even with the pec completely torn. As I mentioned before, like, he's still going out there with limited mobility, and that could increase the risk of him getting hurt some other way or Seth Rollins getting hurt. So, I mean, it was definitely a controversial decision for him to go out there, but knowing Cody Rhodes, and unless they demanded he not go out there, he was going to go out there. This guy that went off the top of the cage with a moonsault, did a move onto a flaming table. Like, Cody's going to go out there and do the match unless they 100% say, no, you cannot go out there. Hamp Cano sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, I'm giving you 3 failed storylines and you have to pick only one person who deserves the blame. Invasion, Summer of Punk, and Nexus. Well, Vince McMahon, at the end of the day, he was the boss when all 3 of those storylines happened, and the blame starts at the top. So, yeah, Vince McMahon would be the blame for all those storylines not panning out the way people wanted them to turn out. Let's see. Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Says, if Cody Rhodes is going to win the title, it should be off of Roman Reigns at WrestleMania with no cash-ins. And I do agree with that. I definitely think that Cody should get the title in a straight-up match. No BS, no cash-in or anything. Although there is that scenario, too, where if it is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, you could always have Rollins try to cash in. Maybe he could attempt the Heist of the Century Part 2, but this time it fails on him, and Cody Rhodes successfully wins the title, and then Roman doesn't take the fall. But I think if Roman Reigns is going to defend against Cody at WrestleMania, Cody should get the clean win one-on-one and not have Rollins get involved. I still think The Rock is going to be doing that match, so I am going to go ahead and say that it'll be Rock versus Reigns and then Cody Rhodes versus Rollins for the title. That would be my ideal scenario. Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, What if Vince McMahon uses Cena as a mercenary to see what Theory is truly made of? Well, I think that's the idea with bringing John Cena back to do a match with Theory. I think that John Cena is going to try and take Theory to the next level. And we're going to see what Theory is made of. If he can perform at that high level with John Cena, time will tell. But I have to tell you guys, the pose down, I thought was really lame. But of course, I'm sure Vince was drooling backstage with this WBF-like segment with Austin Theory posing and Lashley posing and the baby oil. Like that is 100% Vince McMahon. He loves that stuff. But I think as the audience goes, I do not think that they were very entertained or sports entertained by that segment. So on that note, I think I'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, spread the word, tell a friend. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest regarding Jeff Hardy. We got Dynamite coming up Wednesday. Should be an interesting event. We'll see what they do for the ladder match. I mean, they could just do a straight-up tag match. Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. We'll see if they even do the match. They haven't announced anything officially regarding the match, but stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest regarding that and any updates regarding Jeff Hardy as well as Cody Rhodes. NoDQ.com. No DQ review coming up. I believe JJ Williams will be on this week. He's from the Jeff Meacham Network, so stay tuned for that. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com. See you all next time.